Everything happening in your life right now, your victories, your challenges, your repetitive cycles, is in truth the reflection of one single thing. And no, it's not what you think. Most people believe reality is shaped by actions, by effort, by what's done out there. But what if I told you there's something infinitely more powerful, something invisible, but operating as the true programmer of your experience? There is a blind spot in your mind, so subtle, it goes unnoticed every single day. And it's precisely this that defines everything you see, feel, and attract. Today we're going to explore that point. And if you have the courage to look at it and shift your frequency from there, get ready, your reality will never be the same. Because what you call life isn't what happens to you. It's what vibrates from within you. It doesn't matter where you are now or what you've lived up to this point. Just one change, one single shift in your inner state can trigger a quantum collapse of possibilities. But pay attention. This is not about positive thinking. It's about reconfiguring your vibrational point of emission. It's about exiting survival mode and consciously entering creation mode. So take a deep breath. Pay very close attention to what I'm about to tell you, because this video could become the turning point between the life you have and the life you were born to live. The invisible prison. Have you ever felt stuck in a loop? You try to change, put in the effort, sometimes even believe you're finally getting somewhere. But somehow, in a strange and silent way, everything circles back to where it was. It's like running inside a maze whose walls rearrange every time you're about to find the exit. What no one told you is that this maze isn't out there. It's in your mind. There is a prison you've carried since you first formed consciousness. It has no bars, no locks, but it has something far more powerful. The illusion that you are free. The invisible prison is built by your beliefs. And the cruelest part is, they weren't even chosen by you. They were absorbed, inherited, repeated like silent mantras in the background of your mind. Phrases like, it's hard, it never works out for me, I'm not good enough, I have to work hard to deserve anything. These ideas became the ground you walk on, the air you breathe, and without realizing it, they started shaping the only thing that truly creates your reality, your vibration. Because it's not what you consciously say that manifests, it's what you unconsciously emit. And what you emit is filtered through the stories you tell yourself. Pay attention to this. You don't see reality as it is. You see reality as you are. Or better yet, as you believe you are. The mind functions like a projector, and the world like a screen. But most people are hypnotized by the image being projected, thinking that's where change happens. What few realize is, the movie is just playing. The tape has already been recorded, and it's stored inside your mind, programmed by past experiences, traumas, family patterns, and most of all, by the identity you adopted to survive. You can change your environment, your relationships, your job. But if the internal script remains the same, the ending of the movie will be identical. Now hear this. You are not the character. You are the screenwriter. You've just been writing unconsciously until now. And here's the micro hook you need to remember. Your mind isn't just a mirror of the past, it's a quantum transmitter. And the signal you're emitting today is creating your tomorrow. So let me ask you, sincerely, how many of your daily thoughts are truly conscious? How many of your emotions have you actually chosen to feel? The truth is, over 90% of your decisions, your feelings, and the paths you take are being driven by an automatic program. And that program is your invisible prison. But here's the good news. A prison is only a prison while it remains unseen. Because what is unconscious controls you, but what becomes conscious transforms. That's why this journey isn't about learning something new. It's about remembering who you were before you were conditioned. It's about reclaiming your energetic authority, recognizing that you are not at the mercy of life. You are the origin point of the life you're living. And if that's starting to stir something within you, it's because the bars are beginning to show. From here, everything can change. But for that, you'll need more than understanding. You'll need a vibrational decision, because the next step goes far beyond believing or not. It demands that you change your point of observation and finally understand how your mind, through observation, is literally collapsing the reality around you. And that is exactly what we're about to dive into next. What comes next might change everything. The observer effect. Now that we've started to see the invisible bars of the mental prison, it's time to go deeper. Because there is something even more powerful than the limiting beliefs you carry. It's the gaze that sustains those beliefs. Few people know this, but the simple act of observing alters what is being observed. This isn't just a poetic idea, it's a truth proven by quantum physics. At the subatomic level, where matter still exists as pure possibility, nothing is defined until it is observed. Before that, everything is vibration, everything is potential. But the moment consciousness directs its attention, the field collapses and reality materializes, according to the observer's vibration. That's why you're never just looking at the world. You're creating it as you look. And here lies your power, but also your risk. Because if your gaze is tainted by fear, scarcity, guilt, rejection, that's exactly what you activate in the quantum field. You vibrate fear, and it collapses as circumstance. You vibrate lack, and reality reflects more of it. Listen closely. You are not living a random life. You are collapsing in real time, a reality that matches your state of observation. It's as if your mind were a flashlight in a dark room. The room is full of possibilities, but what takes form is what you illuminate. If you keep shining the light on problems, fear, and doubt, guess what manifests? Now tell me, what have you been illuminating lately? How many times has your mind revisited the same negative scene? How often have you relived what didn't work? How often have you identified with pain instead of observing as a creator? Most people don't realize it, but they're observing life as victims, as if life were a sequence of things happening while they try to survive. But awakened consciousness changes the game, because it understands that the external world is not the source, it is the effect. The true point of creation is the inner field, and this is where the observer effect takes hold. Everything you observe with emotional frequency crystallizes and repeats. You look, feel, vibrate, reinforce. Look again, feel it stronger, reinforce even more, until it becomes your truth. But what you call truth is just a repetition of focus. Here's the secret. Focus is a choice, and where your focus is, your creation is. When you change the place from which you observe, you also change the reality that collapses. This is the real shift. It's not about denying the pain or pretending everything is fine. It's about positioning yourself as active consciousness, as the one who decides where to place energy, as the being who vibrates intention before reacting to what is seen. The reality you live today is a direct consequence of the observer you've been, but the reality you want to live already exists. It's just waiting for you to take the seat of the one who observes as if it were already real. That's why imagining is not childish, it's quantum. Visualizing isn't daydreaming, it's vibrational rehearsal. Because in the field of infinite possibilities, what manifests is what receives your coherent observation, charged with emotion. And if this is starting to make sense, maybe you're realizing something powerful. You were never just a spectator of life. You are the collapsed center of reality. Now the choice is yours. Keep looking at what limits you, or observe, vibrate, and create from what expands you. And if you're wondering why, even knowing all this, you still feel stuck in the same results, then you need to uncover the next piece of the puzzle. Who are you internally when no one's watching? Because what comes next will reveal how your identity has been the vibrational anchor sabotaging all your intentions. And after this, you may never see your mind the same way again. Identity as a vibrational anchor. Up until now, you've begun to realize that your reality isn't fixed. It's shaped by the way you observe, feel, and vibrate with the world. But now it's time to face one of the deepest and most overlooked aspects of manifestation: identity. Because no matter how much you study spirituality, quantum physics, or visualization techniques, if deep down you're still vibrating from your old identity, nothing holds. You might want a new life. You might affirm it, write it down, visualize it. But if your body, your vibration, your self-perception are still aligned with the you of the past, the universe will keep responding to that version. Here's the simple, yet uncomfortable lost truth. You don't attract what you want. You attract what you believe you are. Your identity is the gravitational center of your reality. It acts as a silent vibrational anchor, keeping everything around you within a field that matches who you think you are. Here's a metaphor to help you feel this more clearly. Imagine an actor on stage. He's playing a role. He can change the scenery, switch costumes, even alter the storyline. But as long as he keeps playing the same character, the ending will always be predictable. You might want to rewrite the script of your life, but if you don't change the character on stage, if you don't release the old identity, nothing really changes. And here's the problem. Most people are trying to manifest a new reality while still vibrating with a version of themselves rooted in the past. You want abundance, but still see yourself as someone who lacks. You want love, but still identify with rejection. You want freedom, but vibrate guilt. And you don't realize that it's this self-image that's coding the quantum field, broadcasting like an invisible radio signal, the frequency of your life. Now listen closely. Your identity is not who you are. It's who you got used to being. It was formed by memories, emotions, trauma, praise, criticism. It's a vibrational mold you've been absorbing since childhood. But that mold can and must be broken. And it doesn't happen rationally. Identity transforms when you decide, energetically, to move as someone who already is living the life you desire. That's why I tell you, you don't have a manifestation problem. You have an identity problem. Because no matter how much you say you want something new, your body is still vibrating the old. Your emotions still cling to what's familiar, even if it hurts. There's an emotional comfort zone that disguises itself as safety. You're not stuck in the past because it was good. You're stuck because it's known, because your nervous system got used to functioning in that pattern, and changing requires breaking the emotional coherence that keeps you in a loop. But here's the good news. Identity is also a choice, and you can begin right now. Start saying I am with consciousness, because those two words are quantum commands. When you say I am a failure, I am anxious, I am limited, you're sending out signals that the universe interprets as instructions for your reality. But when you begin to affirm, and more importantly, to live, I am free, I am abundant, I am capable, something begins to realign in your field. Not because words have power by themselves, but because they start to shape your frequency. They redesign your vibrational signature. Now answer me honestly. Who have you been choosing to be in the silence of your thoughts? What character is still on the stage of your life saying that change is impossible? If this content is already making you reflect differently, pause for a moment. Hit the like button. It shows you're vibrating with this frequency. And drop a comment below. I choose my new identity. That small gesture is more than interaction. It's a vibrational declaration. And if you found this powerful, just wait until you understand what happens when you shift your point of emission. Because when you vibrate before reality responds, you step into conscious creation. And that's exactly what we're about to explore next. The shift, changing your point of emission. We've reached the most important part of this journey. Up until now, you've seen how the mind, observation, and identity shape your reality, invisibly but powerfully. Now we need to talk about the exact point where everything changes. The shift happens when you change your point of emission. And as simple as that might sound, this is what separates those who stay stuck in the same cycles from those who finally start co-creating a new reality path. But before you learn how to change it, you need to understand what it actually is. Your point of emission is your dominant inner state. It's the base vibration of your consciousness. It's that invisible place from where everything radiates. Even when you're saying nothing, doing nothing, it's what you are, even in silence. And here's the most surprising detail. This point doesn't depend on what's happening outside. In fact, it's just the opposite. The reality you're seeing is the effect of the point of emission you're vibrating from right now. But here's the most common mistake. Most people wait for reality to change before they change their vibration. When I have the money, I'll feel at peace. When I find someone, I'll feel complete. When things get better, then I'll trust. That logic might sound fair, but it's backwards. It's like expecting a mirror to reflect a new image before you change your expression. Let this sink in. Reality doesn't come to make you feel. It comes to confirm what you already feel. Life responds to your frequency, not your conscious intentions. That's why the true shift happens when you learn to vibrate before the manifestation. When you decide what you will feel, who you will be, and what you will emit, regardless of what your eyes are seeing. Here's the turning point. When you change your vibration without depending on the external world, you leave survival mode and enter creation mode. In survival mode, everything is reaction. You feel what the world makes you feel. You react to what happens. You wait to see. In creation mode, you reverse that logic. You feel what you choose to vibrate. You vibrate first, and then observe the world respond. That's the language of the universe, frequency. And when your frequency changes consistently, the field around you begins to reorganize. It's like changing the radio station. It doesn't matter if you're surrounded by interference. If you turn the dial of your awareness and tune in to a new frequency, you access a new reality. But here's a warning. The world might take a moment to reflect the new, because it's still processing what you've been emitting for years, maybe decades. That's why firmness is essential. The old will try to pull you back. It'll test you, seduce you, whisper, "This isn't working." But if you cave, you return to the old pattern. Now tell me, are you ready to sustain the vibration of the new, even before it appears? Are you ready to become who you want to be, even while everything still looks the same? That's the true point of emission. It's not something you practice once and forget. It's a daily vibrational decision. You wake up and ask yourself, who do I choose to be today? What emotion will I carry as if my future is already here? What frequency will I emit, even in silence? Your answer to those questions forms the geometry of your field. That's your signal, and the universe simply responds. Now take a deep breath. Feel that in your chest, because in the next part, we're going to shatter one of the greatest illusions of time and access the most powerful point of all, the quantum now. And when you understand what exists in this exact moment, you'll realize reality was never in the future. It's always been waiting for you, right here. The illusion of time and the quantum now. You've been conditioned to believe that time is linear, that life unfolds in a straight line, past, present, future, that what's behind you is fixed and what lies ahead doesn't yet exist. But what if I told you that's just a mental construct? Time as you know it is a perception, a way to organize the events of human experience. But in the quantum field, time doesn't exist as a sequence. It's a malleable dimension, and all possibilities, all futures, all versions of you already exist simultaneously as the frequencies waiting to be accessed. This isn't mystic theory, it's consciousness science. And the most powerful point, the only one that can access any possible timeline, is the now. The now is not a fleeting moment, it's a portal, an energetic vortex where all possibilities are available. But to enter it, you must leave behind the illusion of psychological time. The mind loves to live in the when. When I get that, I'll be happy. When everything is solved, then I'll trust. When the future comes, everything will change. This waiting is a trap, because while you project your power into the future, you vibrate lack in the present, and lack is the signal the field picks up. Waiting vibrates absence, and the universe responds with more absence. Now listen closely. You don't manifest what you want tomorrow. You manifest what you vibrate now. It's in the now that you align. It's in the now that you decide. It's in the now that you feel as if it already is. But there's a subtle resistance. The mind wants proof. It wants guarantees. It wants safety before allowing itself to feel something new. And that's where you get stuck. Because deep down you're saying, I'll only vibrate as if I already have it, once I do. But the quantum field works in the opposite direction. You will only have it when you vibrate as if you already do. That's why the now is so powerful, because it's the only place where you can change your vibration. And by changing your vibration, you collapse a new reality. You don't need to wait for a miracle. The miracle is already available, but it only connects to the matching frequency. And that frequency is accessed through presence. Presence is when you step out of the story, out of doubt, out of comparison, and return to the point of creation, the present moment. Presence is the state where the observer becomes aware of what they're feeling, of what they're vibrating, of what they're choosing to manifest. It's when you become the cause and stop living as the effect. You no longer need to chase the future. You need to anchor its frequency in the now. Here's a metaphor for that. It's like tuning into a song on the radio. The song is already being broadcast, but you only hear it when you match the frequency of the station. The future you want is already playing in the field, but it only becomes audible, tangible, real when you tune into it now. Now tell me honestly, how many times a day do you get distracted by what hasn't yet arrived? How often do you forget the now, waiting for a later that never seems to come? That disconnection pulls you away from manifestation, because the universe doesn't respond to anxiety about the future. It responds to the coherence of someone who vibrates here and now as if it already is. And don't be mistaken. This isn't about pretending. It's about embodying. It's about moving as someone who is already living it. It's about acting with gratitude in advance. It's about breathing inside the body of your new reality, even if it hasn't physically materialized. Now is where everything happens. Everything that exists only exists now. And the more time you spend absent from this moment, the further you drift from the field where creation becomes real. The past doesn't define you. The future doesn't limit you. There's only one timeline that truly matters, the one you choose to vibrate in the present. And if you understand this, you begin to grasp the true power of the conscious observer. Now take a deep breath. Feel. You are here, and this here is the beginning of everything. Because in the next part, I'll show you how to stay in this state, how to sustain the vibration of the new without slipping back into the old. Because knowing is one step, but living vibrationally is what transforms everything. Entering the field. How to live in this state. Now that you've grasped the power of the quantum now, you may be wondering, how do I live this in my everyday life? How do I maintain this frequency when the world keeps pulling me back into the old? That's one of the most important questions of this entire journey, because understanding the field is one thing, accessing it too, but living in that state is where the real challenge and real transformation happens. And the answer isn't in complex techniques or hours of meditation in isolation. It lies in something much simpler, but infinitely more powerful. Conscious vibrational choice, moment by moment. Living in the field doesn't mean being zen all the time, enlightened, or with your mind perfectly still. It simply means being awake, present, aware of where your energy is being invested. Because every thought is a command, every emotion is an emission, and every emotional choice reaffirms the reality being collapsed around you. But here's the key point. Most people only try to change their vibration when something goes wrong. They try to control the mind only during crisis. They seek presence only when they feel lost. That's like trying to steer a ship during a storm without ever setting the compass when the sea was calm. The real secret is to get ahead of it. It's to decide right when you wake up who you're going to be energetically that day. It's to claim your frequency before the world tells you how to feel. It's to choose to vibrate as someone who already lives what they desire, even when nothing around you seems to be giving you a reason. And maybe now you're wondering, But how do I do this practically? Breathe, feel your body. Close your eyes for a moment if you can, and imagine, how would you walk, breathe, speak, behave? If your ideal reality were already real, what kind of thoughts would arise? What emotions would be filling your field? Now, allow yourself to feel it, even if just for a few seconds. This simple act, feeling before seeing, is a vibrational rehearsal, and the universe responds to rehearsals with the same precision it responds to facts. Because to the field, there's no difference between what's real and what is vibrationally coherent. It responds to the consistency of your frequency. And here's a powerful key. You don't need to sustain that state all the time, but you need to access it often enough for it to start becoming your new baseline. It's like strengthening a muscle. Vibrational repetition builds the new you. And the more you dwell in that state, the more natural it feels. The more real it becomes. The more magnetic it grows. But the old will try to return. Old thoughts, old emotions, old stories will surface. Not because you're doing it wrong, but because you're evolving. And in those moments, instead of fighting, judging, or resisting, observe. Recognize that it's part of the old field, but it no longer defines you. You don't need to fight the old. Just stop feeding it and gently return to the new. As many times as necessary. That's the practice. That's energetic mastery. You're re-educating your vibrational field, and each conscious choice is a new beam of light activating a path that was already there, just waiting for you to tune in. So next time something tries to knock you off center, do it differently. Breathe, feel, and remember, you are the transmitter, you are the channel, you are the field. And the more you live from that place, the more reality reorganizes around you. Not because the world changed, but because you changed the world inside you. We've reached the end of our journey, and if you allowed each word to echo beyond the rational mind, you're already no longer the same. Because expanding consciousness isn't just about understanding, it's about feeling. It's about realizing that life was never something happening to you, but through you. Today you touched a silent point, the place where identity dissolves, time disappears, and creation begins. You've remembered that you don't need to wait for anything else. The field is here, the now is alive, and you are the channel through which it all begins to transform. If this journey moved you, I want to know you made it to the end. Type in the comments, "I choose to live from my new field." That simple declaration seals what's been awakened today and anchors in the present the vibration of who you're becoming.